Okay, we're up to topic 7 now then, choosing the right legal structure. So remember that this unit's all about starting up our own small business, so we have to work out what type of small business we're going to start. It's not just as simple as starting a business, there are lots of different types of business, so we need to be happy with all of those different types. So there are certain main issues that we have to think about. There are several choices of business structure for a startup. As I say, it's not just as simple as saying I'm going to be a business. Actually setting up a business is a simple, cheap and straightforward task. The trick is to choose the legal structure which will minimise the risk of investment. Now I've done this before and I'm going to do it again. There's the key word there. Whichever type of business we choose to be, we can only ever minimise the risk. We can never reduce it. We can never avoid it completely. So we have to work out which legal structure is the most appropriate for the business that we're going to set up. The most important issue is whether the entrepreneur is personally liable for the debts of the business. So that there's a big categorization that we're going to look at, whether your business is liable for the debts or you're liable for the debt. So that's something we're going to have to look at. Okay, so we're going to split these types of business into what we call unincorporated businesses and incorporated businesses. So a little diagram here. All of these types of businesses fall into the private sector. They are privately owned by private individuals. That's you and I. We are private individuals. So we can have on one side unincorporated, just put in corp because I'm not going to fit that in, and on the other side incorp. So one is incorporated, the other one is unincorporated. In unincorporated we have sole traders, sole meaning on their own, and we might have partnerships. So that might be anything between 2 and 20 people working together. We might have a private limited company, which if you've ever seen it is an LTD, or we might have a public limited company, which again if you've ever seen it is called a PLC. So that's how we split up all these different types of businesses. That's what we're going to look at. So the main distinction is whether it's unincorporated or incorporated, and then in those two there are another couple of things, couple of types of businesses we need to look at. So the main classifications are unincorporated businesses and incorporated businesses. Those with limited liability and those with unlimited liability. So when you hear unincorporated businesses, there is actually no distinction in law between the owner and the business itself. The identity of the business and the owner is the same thing. Such businesses tend to be sole traders or partnerships. So if your business does something wrong, so if someone trips over in your shop and breaks their leg, it's not just the business who's getting sued, it's you who's getting sued. You and the business are the same thing. In incorporated business, this is where the business has a separate legal identity from the owners. As a result, these organisations can own assets, own money, and enter into private contracts in their own right. So examples are private limited companies and public limited companies from the previous slide that I showed you. So the big difference is, in an unincorporated business, the business and the person are the same thing. In an incorporated business, the business and the person or the people owning it are entirely different things. How to remember that? Well, if you have a part-time job, say for instance with Tesco, your employer, so who you have your contract of employment, is Tesco and not the owners of Tesco, so not the shareholders of Tesco. But if you have a part-time job with the local newsagents, the person who runs that local newsagent, the sole trader, the owner, that's the person that you have the contract with. So you don't have it with the organisation, you have it with the person, because the business is unincorporated. So say for instance if you had an accident in Tesco and you were told to sue them, you would be suing Tesco Public Limited Company. You'd be suing the company, not the shareholders, not the owners. But if you had an accident on the premises of the newsagents, it would be the owner that you'd be suing, not the business. Right, what I'm going to do now is, just to make this a nice, quick and short one, I'm not going to talk these through. I'm simply going to leave these on screen for a little while, and then in the information at the bottom of the video. There's going to be a link to a mind map which you can either print out or do on screen. All I want is some information about each of the branches on the mind map, which you can do in your own time. So either print it out or do it on screen and then print it out, either way, whichever is easiest for you, or you could just completely redraw the mind map and do it like that. So again, I'm not going to talk through these, I'm just going to leave them on screen and then move them on as and when we go along.